All right. Hey, everyone. It's Jordy from Freelance Vets. Today I am talking with Ed Cormier from Connecticut, just a super guy who served our country first as a teenager in the National Guard. Went to the Merchant Marine Academy and later served in the Navy from 62 to 64. What makes Ed such an incredible guy is he is 80 years old and has been a successful businessman his whole life. And he just has a lot of really good advice to share with our audience, and specifically with our older veterans who I want you guys to hear Ed's story because it's really inspiring and encouraging, and just to let you know that there is a place for you at Freelance Vets, and that's what we're going to do. So Ed, thank you so much for taking some time today to chat with us. We really appreciate
Glad
it.
to be aboard. Glad to be aboard.
Awesome. Hey, Ed, why don't we start out? Can you just give everyone a quick overview of your military career and what you did in the service?
Well, I joined the National Guard, which gave me a nice pay entry base date. So I retired. I went on active duty for a couple of years, and then by that time, I was in headquarters in the Ninth Naval District. Then I got out and I worked as in my own business and working for companies, and retired in the reserve. Proceeded along in my career path. I learned a lot of engineering stuff in the Merchant Marine because I was an engineering officer on a merchant ship, anchor. And my field was advertising and public relations in the Navy, which I carried over to my civilian job. And I worked the same kind of stuff for company. In fact, I went from the Navy to work for United Technologies, and then I worked for Pratt & Whitney Machine Tool, and then I worked for Uniroyal, and always in public relations, advertising, marketing, communications end of things, right on up through and transitioning into the teaching field. I went back and got another degree and wound up teaching sales and marketing and advertising and business and that sort of thing in various colleges and universities. So military was a continuation of my career. And I'm doing the same thing now, basically, as I started out doing when I was a teenager at Maritime Academy.
What were some of the best lessons you learned from serving?
Well, when I went to Merchant Marine Academy, I was there 3 years and learned 3 words: no excuse, sir. And I think that's a lot of what people get in the military, and I think that's a lot of what you don't find from the civilian population. I found working with a lot of people is that they figure out the excuse for failure before they even start the project.
I like that. Talk about, you're 80 years old.
Right.
Most guys
Right.
your age are slowing down. The work is the furthest thing from their mind. They're playing golf. They're hanging out and relaxing. What keeps you going? Why do you want to keep working?
Well, I don't have any choice. I mean, it's fun for me, Fortunately, I kid people. I say I don't really have to work. I just do this to wear out my old clothes, Um, uh, when I quit, I gear down. I mean, I don't do as energetically as I did before, and I have to work smarter instead of harder because my memory isn't. They got a thing in accounting that says last in, first out, or first in, last out. Well, with your memory as you get older, it's last in, first out. I can remember a poem I learned in kindergarten, but ask me what I had for breakfast, and I'm going to have to consult my notes, kind of thing. So you have to treat yourself a little bit differently, but hopefully you're working smarter and you're working more effectively as an older person. Plus, hopefully you don't make the same mistakes you made as a younger person. And I'm having more fun now than I've ever had. And I've had a lot of fun over the years too. And fortunately, I'm looking towards next year, my wife and I, high school sweetheart, will celebrate the years.
How many years it cut out?
Say again?
How many years?
60.
60. Hey,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
We have 4 adult children that all doing well. In fact, I got a little military story that your audience will kind of appreciate here. When my son got out of the military, he retired as a E8 Green Beret, and he left me a bunch of medals. In fact, I've got them here. I can show you. Try and see if it on the camera.
Nice. That's great.
So I kid people. I say between my son and I, we have 26 medals. I have one, and he has 25.
That's good.
But I was showing this to a friend of mine. He looked out. He says, "Holy!" He says, "That's the Legion of Merit." Now, Legion of Merit is one below Medal of Honor. So I called my son and I said, "Craig, I'm really apologize for not having recognized that." I says, "I'm proud of you. Your mother's proud of you." He says, "I'll bet your wife is proud of you too." He says, "She's got one too." He met his wife jumping out of her helicopter at 80, and she retired as a battalion commander of a Chinook helicopter.
Oh my gosh. Well, you must be very proud. You got a good crew there, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to, like to know more about what he did in the military. But
So this is what I want to hear from you.
okay.
We've been trying to help veterans, not trying, but we've been helping veterans for the last 5 years get jobs. It's no secret that companies, when you present a veteran who even 50 years older, someone in their 50s, late 50s, 60s, 70s, companies just don't want to make spots for these people on a full-time basis. They just feel they're too old. I'm talking in general terms now. They're too old. They'd rather get the younger guy because they feel they can get 20, 30 years out of somebody. We bang our heads against the wall when we hear that stuff, because people who have 30, 40 years of experience under their belt have a tremendous amount to offer businesses, and often at a steep discount from what they were getting paid when they were working full time. And that's one of the reasons we launched Freelance Vets, is to help the older veterans connect with companies. And we feel the companies are going to be more likely to hire older veterans on a freelance basis because they don't have the liability risk, they don't have health insurance, they don't have a lot of the carrying costs that come with a full-time hire. I'd like to hear from you, your take on that.
Well, my take, first of all, is that people don't work for companies 20, 30 years anymore. It's a myth. Okay? It doesn't happen. Second of all, I would suggest to the veteran that you really don't want to work for a company full time, right? You want the flexibility to, for example, my son got out of being a Green Beret, and he worked as a security guard for like minimum, and then he got a job in quality control with a company, and pretty good. But then he got a job working in the security area that really kind of pays him what he really deserves. But someone who's been an aviation mechanic or an electrician or even somebody in the military, I mean, you've got lots of potential. And if you meet 5 or 10 or 15 people that don't respect your military career and background, so what? All you need is one job, one person, and you find one person that really appreciates what the military is all about and appreciates not only the skills, but the work ethic and the code of honor and the discipline. Like I said, I mean, I learned no excuse, sir, and you don't find too many people out in the civilian world. Uh, you might find someone like Lee Iacocca that used to say, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Uh, but you have talents, and I would suggest that you don't want a full-time job, find a part-time job, and then the advantage of someone getting out of the military is when you get off active duty, you really have gun will travel. I mean, if a job opens up, if you get off active duty in Boston and a job opens up in Seattle, you go to Seattle. And then the different Air Force, and plus with the space thing opening up now, and with this virus thing pointing out the excellence, I mean, the Corps of Engineers, they say they perform the extraordinary, they perform the unimaginable, you know.
Right.
So you take stock of where you're at and what you can do, and don't downgrade yourself. You're
Yeah,
right up there.
that's great. And you know, I truly believe that people live longer, when they have a mission, when they have a focus in their life, when they're feeling productive and they're busy with work that's important to them. Um, talk talk lastly, the last question to the business owner now, who, why is it valuable for them to put a veteran in their 70s, 80s on their part-time payroll as a freelancer? How can somebody like you add value to what they're doing?
I'll even go a step further, saying that they put a veteran on that payroll that doesn't have legs. I mean, if they sit down at the job, what does he need legs for? You know. You notice, for example, I use this as a glowing example, but there's examples all over the military. You meet somebody that's gone to Paris Island. I mean, you can take certain things for granted. I mean, someone that's been through the Paris Island routine, or wherever else you want to go, you're a Marine. You're a Marine for life. You know, no one was a Marine. They are a Marine. You know, and I got some of the same stuff at the Maritime Academy. When I showed up the first week, there was 92 of us in line, and 4 weeks later, there was 61 of us in line. I mean, they weeded out the people. There were people running out with their foot lockers on them in the middle of the night. But with the military, you can take things for granted, and you don't have to question things that you have to go and look at with most civilian hires. Everything, it isn't right. Everything isn't right for you. Boy, there are enough ex-military folks out there, and there's enough people that appreciate that value that, just go for it and don't downgrade yourself.
But what specifically about an older veteran? What does an older veteran bring to a civilian company?
Well, I think an older veteran brings respect. I mean, an older person working brings respect. I think an older veteran has made a lot of mistakes along the way that he probably won't make now. I think an older veteran, and I'm still trying to learn this, is to keep your mouth shut a lot of the time, which has been my struggle. I think an older veteran isn't liable to get as rattled and as intimidated, and just bring some stability to the whole operation. You know?
And the thing I like too, I love that what you just said, but the thing I like too is most older veterans are not working for the money. You're working because you love the work and you're passionate about it. And that's something that's powerful stuff to a business owner. Ed, thank you so much. This was great. Really appreciate you offering this advice.